Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, we're going to be doing the sketch from the weekend sketch for scrapbookingwithme.com and the Facebook page. All links will be down below in the more section. And this is a sketch that was for our weekend. And I wanted to share with you a concept that I found from YouTube. I got to get the lady's link again so that way I can have it. I'll probably put it in the more section. But she always suggests that she takes her like ephemera pieces and other little bits and she puts it into, well, basically like breaks it down into these baseball card holders to kind of keep everything together. And I really like the idea because it saves on space and it keeps everything kind of within either the same packaging, if that's what you're going to use, or if you have another container or something that you're going to put it in, it just helps keep everything kind of streamlined. So that way, it's not, I guess what I'm saying is taking up space and you have all these different containers and packages, and it just is easier for keeping everything together. So I'm just trimming these down, and I like to save a little bit of the packaging name so that way if I need to know who it is or who it's by, I can have something just to make sure. So I want to make sure, like, okay, so for this one, I wind up cutting this one up, I think, into two because, yeah, part of it was sticking out. So I wound up having to trim it down like 3 times, but I'm just going to stuff those right in the top. So those are my puffy stickers, and I'm just going to cut a little bit of the top for that, so that way I have that it's the puffy stickers in the packaging, and then the little bit that's hanging off, I'm just going to trim it. All right, and then I'm going to throw those out, and then I'm going to grab, I think the last piece that I have is these ephemera pieces, and I'm just going to take them and really stuff them into the rest of the open pockets that I have here. Now, there's a couple of them that are just way too big for the little pocket squares. No big deal, okay? Because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my stencil and I'm going to put them inside there. So it's all still together, all in the same packaging. And let me tell you, it's just going to make this way easier to maintain. And I'm just going to cut that right up the middle and put it on the back. And then that way I can see all my different setups and my tags and all that good stuff. And then I just put it right inside the packaging and it's all there together. One and done. So now we're going to get ready and actually start putting together our sketch. And I'm using this wood grain paper. I just cut the little strip off. And I like to pull up the sketch so it's on my screen. So that's what I was doing with my mouse. And I already knew kind of the different elements that I wanted to cut, like from this stripe or these horizontal strips. I'm going to do the plaid. And once I have it lined up, I'm going to go ahead and trim that and then take the packaging strip off of that side as well. So then that's going to be my long piece. I'm going to trim it down some more later, but for right now, I'm just trying to like figure out which elements I'm putting where. So for the big square that's on the bottom, I was thinking to make it simpler, I would make that one 6 by 6. So I'm going to cut it right in half and then cut it in half again. And then that'll be that square. And then for the next one, I was going to use that stripe, but I decided I wanted to use this paper because it has the holly leaves and berries and stuff. And then on the other side, it's the snowflakes. Okay, so I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, did I make that too small? Because I have to readjust this a little bit because my picture isn't as small as the little square that's in the photo. It's bigger. And I knew I was going to trim down my picture, but I just wasn't sure. Like, obviously, I'm not going to make it as small as it looks to me. But I was like, let me figure this out. So I cut a piece. Actually, I decided there I'm going to go ahead and trim down the photo and just make it as close to where it's just the bench and my parents as much as possible, and then trim down the top. So I think I wind up making it like 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 all the way around. And then for my pattern paper, I'm making it 4 by 4. So that way it's just a nice even 1/4 of an inch instead of the little 1/8 of an inch that I normally do. And then, okay, so then from my stash, I decided to grab some Christmas, basically like titles that they have, that I had. And I found this one. It said December to Remember, because this isn't this year's December. It was last year's. So I figured December to Remember was it was easier. And I just cut up a few of the stars that were right there. And I decided that I wanted to use that. And initially, I only cut off 1 inch from my long strip. And then when I got done, I was like, no, I need to cut a little bit more. So I cut another inch. So it made it, instead of 12, it made it right at 10 inches. And then I'm just going to lay down some of the stars, just kind of all over the place. I had an idea and I wanted to, kind of lay it out. So then my next plan was to start laying this all down together, but I knew I wanted to add layers behind each of the pieces. So I grabbed this, I guess it would be like a tan textured cardstock that I have in my stash, and I'm gonna just start mounting or putting a mat on all the different layers. So for the for the photo, it goes, the first mat I did 4 by 4, and then the next mat I did at 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. So that way it was just a little bit of that tan peeking out from my other layer. And then on the 6 by 6 piece, I made it 6 1/8 by 6 1/8 for the layer. And on this final piece here, I want to say it was something like, I did it I think it was 3.5 by 4.5 or something like that. It was a little bit shorter on one of the ends, but whichever way you measure it, you just want to add 1/8 of an inch to your matte piece, so that way it creates that 1/8 of an inch layer all the way around. Same thing for the strip. So once I get all these measured out, I'm going to move the cutter, and we're going to go ahead and start attaching all of our layers. So just like what I do with my card making, I do the same thing with my scrapbook pages. When I'm doing layers or attaching anything like that, I always use my ATG tape, and then I also put on art glitter glue. And what that does is it gives me just a little bit of wiggle room so that I can try and get everything as even as possible. Okay. Sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, your cutter always feels a little wonky after a while. So it's like, is it me or is it the cutter? We're going to blame the cutter because it can't talk back. But, yeah, so I always want to have that extra time so I can move it around, change it. I don't know if it's this one or the other one, but I wind up having to pick one back up again, like kind of pull it apart. And because I used the glue, it's this one, I was able to kind of lift it and then move it over slightly. I think it went by too fast for you to really see it, but trust me when I tell you, if you have issues with lining your items up, the best thing to do is to get you some either wet glue, and just use wet glue because you'll definitely have time to pick it up, move it around. Or if you want that extra adhesion, use the ATG tape. It's nice and strong. You can use score tape, but also grab you some of that wet glue to give you just that little bit more time. So on the back of our photo, I knew I wanted to give it some dimension, so I'm putting some of the ATG tape, and then I'm also going to hit it with the art glitter glue as well, and then attach my fun foam to the back. And I do it that way because then the other side has the adhesive, and I can attach my photo with the adhesive side once I'm ready. So we're going to go ahead and start layering up our stuff. And definitely over the first 2 weeks in the month, 2 weekends, there's always these two challenges that I love to do over at Scrapbooking with Me. And one is usually a sketch challenge, and then the other one is a color challenge. And I mean, if you guys are on their Facebook group, definitely head over there. There's fun challenges. They have every day, there's like a different theme. There's what is it, mixed media, there's shabby chic, wacky Wednesday I think is one, there's messy desk Tuesdays. So there's always something that's going on, and you can feel free to join in and participate. It's just a lot of fun. And then I took off the backing, added some white glue on the fun foam, and then I put down the sentiment. And now I'm going to kind of start laying things back down again and figuring out where I want everything to go. And as we start to pull some stuff out, we got some stickers. I knew I wanted to use that because it really wasn't fitting in my baseball slip very well. And I was like, you know what? Let's use it. Why not? On the bottom right hand side, they had like a little cluster. Well, I'm just changing mine up a little bit. And I'm just going to go through real quick, try and figure out what pieces I want to use. I wind up using more of the puffy stickers and less so much of the ephemera, only because some of the ephemera is more, to me, geared to like maybe using it on a card because it has like really nice sentiment, or a really pretty, you know, like Merry Christmas, you know, or there's one that had a tree and it was like peace, joy, love, and it created like a tree shape. That was a really cute ephemera piece, but it just didn't work for me on this project. So I'm gonna let this kind of go by here. You can see like some of the stuff that I'm doing. I'm looking at some of my puffy stickers. I knew I wanted to create like a cluster because I had a package that was a chipboard, and then I had the tree and like another package under or in the foam stickers. The foam, yeah. And I was just like, what? I just didn't know where to put it. So I decided to kind of put them up at the top. And so I'm making basically like 3 different little areas. I think I wind up, yeah, I put the trees over on this left side here. And then this snowflake, I was like, you know what? I'm going to kind of slide it under there. The stocking and that other piece I moved over to the right. And then I made a classic mistake, which we're going to talk about in a little bit here. So initially I'm like, okay, I'm going to put my little strip here with the trees and the truck. I'm going to attach the to remember right above it. And then I went ahead and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and attach my snowman. What I didn't do was plan. Because as I'm putting down my December, you're going to see that by the time I get to the R, I've run out of space. And I'm going to have to peel up the snowman, tear the paper because it's just flimsy paper, and I remember, the glue down. And I didn't like how the R was like completely covered. So it made a little bit of a mess. So to fix it, I decided, you know, that little snowman, yeah. I was like, you know what? We just got to do what we got to do. So I'm going to put that down and have my R kind of go across it and then put the snowman over it as well. So it looks a little weird, but I'm just going to keep going with it, okay? Because at this point, I wasn't about to change, or I couldn't pull up everything. I put down really all the items. But I think that particular thing, because of all the elements, the stars, the snowflakes and different things like that I put down, and of course I'm going to end this all off with some splatter. I think it just winds up really it kind of just fades into the back. Like it's there, but it's not there. So it almost provides a little bit of an anchor for the word December. And then I decided to grab my sticker sheet, and I'm just going to grab a few ornaments that have hanging down from their picture, and I'm going to spread them out just a little bit more. And then attach them there. Now, with the way that I'm putting them onto the layout, you don't have to use glue because the stickers themselves will stick fine because we didn't use any gesso. If you use gesso or do any mixed media on your card or your layout, then just make sure you use glue underneath some of your stickers and stuff because it won't stick well to the gesso. I think it's because of the chemical makeup or whatever. I learned that from Missy Whitten. So we're still going to keep adding. I got a few more. I wanted to add that other snowflake. And I think right there is probably where I'm going to leave it as far as all the stuff I'm adding. Now, I knew I wanted to do some spray splatters. So I'm using white, which is the white picket fence, the stress ink, and the black soot. And then I'm also going to grab green spray, which is right here. This one, it has the mica in it. It's from Nuvo. It's really pretty, and I thought it went really well with some of the lighter greens. So I'm going to start with it first, and I'm going to just use my pokey tool and just kind of tap around and put some splatters all around. I like to do, or what I like to think I'm trying to do, is like more controlled splatters. But after a while, I give up and I just splatter until my heart's content. So once I'm done with the white, I'm going to hit it with some of the black. And I will say, because of not using the gesso, doing the splatter this way does dry quicker than if you have the gesso on your page, because the gesso, the paint kind of sits on top. So here are the final images, and I just want to say thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button, and I will have links to scrapbooking with me down below, and I will also have previous videos here for you to check out. Thank you guys, and have a great day.